It's Holy Week, and what an emotional roller coaster. Jesus and his disciples begin Holy Week, or their preparations for Passover, with a parade. Like if it was still open, they'd be going to Disney World kind of parade. Like the Cubs just won the World Series type of parade. They have this exuberant, joyful, celebratory procession up to Jerusalem. And then John's Gospel tells us that Jesus appoints two unnamed disciples, probably the event coordinators in the group, to find a spot for them to have the Passover meal. Scholars tell us that in the time of Jesus, the city of Jerusalem saw an influx of about 2 million people during the Jewish feast of the Passover. So I imagine that those disciples heard Jesus' last-minute request in a manner that was similar to the way that we might hear someone asking us on December 30th to find and make New Year's Eve dinner reservations. These two disciples, though, they get it done without the help of Open Table. They find a spot, the upper room, for them to celebrate Passover in. I doubt, though, that these two disciples understood what the upper room that they had selected would be the site of. It's in the upper room that Jesus and the disciples celebrate the Passover meal. It's in the upper room where Jesus washes the feet of his disciples. After the crucifixion, the disciples hide in fear in the upper room. It's in the upper room where the resurrected Christ appears to the disciples, and the gift of the Holy Spirit is given to them and the church in the upper room. All of these wonderful and confusing moments occur away from society, away from others, in the same upper room. Think about the selection of your own apartment or home. Maybe you're in a walk-up or a high-rise building, like a lot of people in the city of Chicago are. You have your own upper room, and it's probably seen its moments of joy and optimism, of exhaustion and despair, of fear, and of hopeful new beginnings. You likely had some daydreams about events that would take place there, but you probably had not anticipated all of the moments that you've experienced there. I know I didn't select my condo thinking, is this a place where I could hunker down in for over a month? And I'm inclined to think that when those two disciples chose a spot for the celebration of the Passover meal, they didn't think about all the events that they were going to have to ride out in that upper room. And I think that we and the disciples may be experiencing some similar shelter-in-place upper room emotional roller coaster moments. For example, the disciples. Oh, isn't it nice all of us gathered here to remember the deliverance of our ancestors out of slavery? Us. It's so nice to celebrate holidays here with my family and friends. The disciples. Wait, Jesus is washing my feet? Us. Wait, after March 30th, I won't be able to eat out at a restaurant? The disciples. Jesus is arrested? Us. My kids won't physically be going to school and I can't take them to the park or the lakefront? The disciples. This guy that we've been followers of has been killed? Us. Coronavirus numbers are rising and we're running out of hospital beds and medical equipment. The disciples. Are they going to crucify us next? Us. This is my last paycheck before I'm laid off or put on furlough. The disciples. Oh, Jesus is here? Us. Oh, Jesus is here. The roller coaster stops. We end up at the same spot, us and the disciples. The confusion, the fear, the sadness, the sense of loss. We and the disciples end with the recognition of Jesus in our lives and in our upper rooms. Now that our place of worship comes with a couch, we may not recognize him at first. Like the disciples gathered in the upper room, Jesus may appear to us in a way in which we are unaccustomed to seeing him. Maybe we see him on a Zoom call, or maybe someone we see outside of our window when normally we're not even home during the day to look out of our window. Or perhaps the sight of the full moon at night reminds us of God and Jesus. While we are forced to sit in our upper rooms, we are being given the chance to open ourselves up to new ways of seeing and responding to Jesus. Just like the disciples, what we will have experienced in our upper rooms will inevitably change us. And just like the disciples, we will eventually leave our upper rooms. And then what? What will we do with the new ways that we've experienced and encountered Jesus? All right, a couple things to think about. What emotions have you felt over the past several weeks? What moments of hope and joy have you experienced in your upper room? How has Jesus shown up in your upper room? And finally, do you see Jesus any differently now than you did before? Stay safe and have a blessed Holy Week.